Community Beacon, Fridays at 6:30 EST, with your hosts Michaeldseville and Joel Simmons. A channel whose focus is liberty. A place where the lessons discussed and taught will create openings to a more open and freer mindset. A mindset where you may reach the height of your potential and excel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Joel.
What's going on?
¿Cómo está?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Bien, bien. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. We are here again for another beautiful day with the Community Beacon, and I'm glad to be able to see you. It is the king of real estate, Michaeldseville, the co-host with the most.
Shout out, and I'm here with my brother from the Tenacity Foundation. There you go. Yeah. You know his name, the real applause came out. But
it was delayed. That was for you.
So he says. But yeah, shouts out to the brother from Tenacity Foundation, Joe Simmons. Everybody, appreciate you for checking in once again with Community Beacon. We are here each and every Friday. We're dropping at around 6:30. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, depending on whatever platform that you are on. Some quick housekeeping, just a couple of reminders, guys. Remember on Monday, I'm dropping What It Takes each and every Monday. Go check out the last episode. I talk about doing some touring of some new properties here in Palm Beach Gardens, specifically Avenir. If you all haven't seen Avenir, that's that huge mega development, mega subdivision that's going on all the way west out on North Lake, right before you get to Coconut Row. I was there for 4 hours on Sunday, so it's a sight to behold. So go ahead and check out that episode and let me talk to you about what's going on in the housing market and just what it actually takes to get to where you want to get to. So check me out. That's once again Mondays from 4 to 6. Of course, on Wednesday, my brother debuts a new episode of It Starts With Who, brother?
Starts with me. Y'all check it out. I'll be there. It's an amazing episode. Again, we're very grateful for the people that have showed up to be on our show. And if you go back to last season, I think it was either episode 3 or 2, 3 or 4, you might be able to just catch that brother on the other side. Yeah, there you go. The one that's smiling right now. And then, yeah, when you see him on that one, just remind him of this one thing.
We're on season 2 now.
We are on season 2.
My God, let me tell you something. Time waits for no man. You know, I was thinking about that this week. It's time has started to fly, and what I mean by that is that whatever you want to start today, because before you know it, you're on season 2. Well, within season 2, everything's progressed. You've gotten better. If you go back and look at whatever episode that was, 2, 3, or 4, I think I was on there twice actually. And then see what it looks like today. You'll see the progression. You'll see the growth. You'll see a lot of different things. And it's just as time goes by, you continue to get better and better and better. But you have to start, and it starts with you as what he calls it. So check out those. There's a reason that we name these shows what we name them. And it's so important. And to be quite honest with you, I don't even know if we had the vision for it. We just knew we had the faith and belief that we were going to do something, and all this kind of developed how it develops. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to go back and check it out and to see the growth and development. It's all documented online. So go check out It Starts With Me. And then of course we end the week with Community Beacon each and every Friday. We both clicking on it, so my apologies. I'm gonna let you handle it. I'm gonna keep my hands in the air from now on. I'm gonna let the producer handle it. But then we culminate with Community Beacon each and every Friday. What I love about this brother is the consistency. What I love about this brother is the passion. What I love about this brother is determination in order to make things happen and continue to happen, no matter how it needs to be. I mean, logistics wise, both very busy people. Whatever it is, we both have a lot going on. We have families, we have lives, we have careers, we have people that are depending upon us, etc. And we still show up each and every Friday. I want to say in the last 2 years, we've probably missed maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and oftentimes there was some type of technical thing that occurred as far as to why. And maybe I forgot to schedule the episode, maybe, whatever it was.
Or maybe I scheduled it late.
Yeah, we scheduled it late. But we've been determined to make this thing happen. And that's just one of the things that it takes to get to where you want to get to, is that you show up each and every time. No matter what, whether it's in a good mood or bad mood. I've had some very bad shows in career. I've had some very difficult obstacles in life. It happens, difficult obstacles, things popping up. But we continue to show up because guess what? The world continues to turn, right? The world continues to turn. So absolutely. Hey, brother, let's get into the show. I know you were talking about some thoughts and conversations that you were having. The male perspective. Check out the male perspective on Podcast Plus. That drops. Normally it drops on Tuesday. I haven't seen it drop in a while, but it won't be because I didn't record an episode. So normally it drops every Tuesday. And if somebody wants me to take that over too, I have no problem showing up and doing what it is that I got to do. I'm telling you guys, once I'm committed to something, I'm committed to it. And if I don't show up, it almost feels like something is wrong. Like there's a tear in the fabric of the universe or something. That's how I feel once I'm committed to something. If I'm committed to something, I'm committed and I'm showing up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So as long as the God allows it, So let's get into it. Let's get into this episode, guys. Brother, what's going on your side? Let's talk about it.
I love it, man. First off, I definitely want to make sure that it's known. Brother Mike, man, he is always there. Always there. He is an example, an emblem of consistency and persistence. So I definitely take a lot of that from you, man. I think about that all the time, especially when we're trying to schedule these appointments. I'm like, oh man, I'm actually like feeling I'm burning up on the inside. Like I got to get with this brother. It ain't gonna work on such and such time or day or whatever. I got to see what's going on. And then it's kind of funny because we'll be like, all right, there's a half hour here, there's an hour there. In 2 or 3 days, we're trying to align 1/2 hour. And it's kind of funny because I mean that goes to what we were discussing a little earlier, before we jumped on the show, and it's just about expanding the capacity. And it's kind of crazy because I definitely feel like, for me, I'm in a position where my capacity needs to expand. It's just got to. It has to, because the load that I'm having to carry in this day is a lot heavier than it was just a couple of weeks ago. Things have changed and progressed so much in such a short span of time that I'm in a position where I have to, I gotta take my mug set in and I gotta request a big gulp. You know what I'm saying? I can't drink out of the 8-ounce coffee cup in the morning. I need a big gulp. You know what I'm saying? I need a gallon jug. And that's all I mean by just expanding capacity. It's like either I hold more or I release more or I grow, And so that's the thought on my mind right now, Mike. I just, where are you at with that? Let me hear what you got to say, man.
That's interesting. I know you. I tend to know people, right? I check out people, but I know this brother sitting on the other side of it. and I know he's capable of bearing a lot, taking on a lot. Not that I want him to take on a lot all the time, but I know what he is capable of. He's capable of. And I know what I'm capable of. So to get into this conversation, I remember someone said something about me the other day. They said that their significant other said, "Man, I don't know how Mike does it. Like, how does Mike do this, that, and the third, and still be somewhat functional, right?" So my thought process is that it comes with a lot of clarity. You know what I mean? It comes with a lot of clarity, and it definitely comes with a lot of prayer. I can't do it all by myself. I wouldn't even want. I probably tried at one point in time, but I don't want to do it anymore. Now that I know that I got some, I can access help when help is needed. But I want to say if we get better at scheduling, time blocking, if we get better at prioritizing, and I think ultimately if we get clearer on our goals, on what it is that we want, and our values, that we can pretty much take on as much as we want to take on. What happens is that oftentimes we get caught up in what I would call like overwhelm. So what is overwhelm? Overwhelm is when things are very disorganized. Overwhelm is when things aren't clear. So what happens is that you have all this stuff in your mind that needs to happen, and you're not putting it in the proper place or position in order for it to happen. What is it? Because we rarely, unless unless it's an accident, that's when his brother jumps into action. Unless there's some type of critical emergency, a fire, life or death, something that some type of critical emergency. Most things aren't emergencies. But what happens is that we get overwhelmed. And let me tell you what happens when you get overwhelmed. You tend to put things off. You tend to say, okay, well, this can happen at a different time, or how about you just get boggled down in just the mental energy of trying to fix this thing that's going on in your mind. What's going to help your capacity is being able to put these things in there. Once again, going back to it, put it into its proper place. Now, what do I do when I get overwhelmed? And it happens, right? I'm definitely not going to tell you that I'm perfect. Normally it happens like early in the morning. Normally you get woken up with overwhelm. Here's what I suggest we do, is that we kind of put things in perspective, because when can we do things? We only can do things now, like in the present moment. So when I start to feel overwhelmed, I start to put a piece of paper. I think I have it right. I got it right. You can't see it. You probably can't read my handwriting. Let me see how I put it. But I just start to write stuff down. Whatever's on my mind, I just start to write it down. Oh, I gotta get dog food. Because that, like, something as small as that adds to your overwhelm. Something that can be solved and simple, but it adds to your overwhelm because we're not actually putting it in its place. We just have it strung out all over. So we're visualizing, I gotta get the dog food. Oh, I gotta get the kids to school. I got I got these appointments that need to happen. Oh, I didn't follow up with such and such. I need to follow up. I know, brother, you in a industry where you need to follow up with people. I need to follow up. I need to arrange for this. I need to do that. Okay, boom. Let's throw this all out on a piece of paper. Let's throw all this stuff out on a piece of paper. And now we can say, okay, when does this need to happen, essentially? When can I schedule this time? Or I have an appointment. I need to schedule an appointment with Joel. Okay, cool. I know Joel is normally available on Wednesdays at 3. Okay, great. Today is Tuesday. Let me send Joel a text message. Hey, Joel, does any time in the afternoon tomorrow sound good for you? Boom. And I'm telling you, when you do that, and here it is. I'm just doing the activity. I'm not caught up in the results, because Joel might say, hey, I can't do it. Tomorrow doesn't work for me. Okay, great. So when's a better time for it to work for you? Friday at noon. Okay, perfect. You know what's going to help that overwhelm? When you check that off your list now. Cool. Check it off my list. Put it in my calendar. This time at 12, I got this conversation. This now goes from outside of your brain, and I'm playing in my brain, but we normally see things visually. So we see things in our field of vision. So now this thing gets out of my field. Let me put this here. Now this thing gets out of my field of vision, and I can just log it into a database. Because what we're not doing is we're not organizing our thoughts and responsibilities. But if I can get this from here, this is where the overwhelm is happening. It's happening here. Or, for me, it might be happening here. For you, it might be happening in the back of your head. It might be auditory. But if I can make it visual, and I can put it in its place, and then I can, and I'm putting it on this piece of paper, and then I can check it off. It's done. That's a load off. You probably gain like 1 percentage point of mental clarity and energy from that. Then I'm writing something else down, and I'm putting it in this place. Okay, I need to get dog food. Okay, well, I normally pass by the dog food store on my way to here to get gas, and I gotta get gas. Okay, so I'm gonna get dog food and I'm gonna get gas. I put that on paper. Maybe you need a reminder that when you get to the gas station, you need to get dog food. Now you're putting these things in this place, and I'm making it very simple because it is simple. We tend to just keep these things all here, and then here's what happens is, while you're doing this is expanding. You spoke about expansion, brother. This is expanding your capacity for things now, because once you get it scheduled and you get it in order and you make it and you put it in priority, now you can take on even more things. And you can continue to take on more. Now, I'm not telling you not to have here. You need to schedule in your rest time too. Scheduling your rest time, scheduling your family time. Time blocking is important. You know what I mean? When it comes to those type of things. And I know I'm going on, brother. What you got to say? Let me give you time to reply.
And I love it. I love it. And the thing about it is, I know that we've discussed these things as well. So I like that. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When it comes down to it, and you're making these adjustments inside of your life, it does take a little bit of time.
As well as clarity. And getting clear is really important. If you don't get clear, then all of a sudden things become a very difficult thing to do. So I love that how you gave prioritize and schedule.
You got some feedback.
Yeah, I was wondering. I heard something in my earbuds.
Yeah,
I
I
turned
think
off my
we
earbuds.
switched, and now we're getting feedback from it. Cool.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still hear the feedback inside my ears. But this whole thing about clarity this is major. And so just in this conversation that we're discussing right now, what just came up in my own mind, my own heart was this. Clarity is something that you have to constantly look for. What was clear today may not be clear tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So the vision, you can have a goal or a vision for a time away, but the closer you get towards that vision, you may actually start to learn more about, let's make it more, let's paint a picture, right? So you're getting onto a ship and you're trying to leave the mainland. You want to leave all your woes and your discouragement behind. You're seeking for freedom, a land of brand new opportunities. You cannot see that land across the water, but you've heard about it and you believe
Right.
those that have told you about it. So when you hop on this ship and you start to go out into the water, the further you get away from the shore, the mainland that you came from, the more you realize you are absolutely out here on your own. You got to make this thing happen or you got to make it happen. And the further you get from the mainland, the more you realize you're too far from the mainland to simply turn around. And as you look out in the furthest of distances, you may even be able to start to see that promised land, but you're unsure about it. And it's right there in the middle of that's when you recognize that You might have been clear when you were on the mainland and you knew that it was as simple as getting on that boat and starting to crusade and cruise across these rough waters. But once you got into the middle of the waters and the waters began to move, the winds, the current of life began to move, and the winds of decision began to rise. At that point in time, clarity may look a little bit different. That promised land that you saw at one point in time, it may be veiled by fog. It may be veiled by stuff,
Your stuff.
your own stuff,
Our
the
stuff.
stuff that you brought
Yeah.
that you may not even need. Yeah. And so that's the interesting part. And I like to mention also that it's good to have a team or a mentor or a coach, because having a friend, a team, a mentor, a coach that understands these types of things, they can help you with corrective measures right then and there.
Let me speak to that, because I know you've been talking about it a little bit on Instagram as well. I saw the team concept, and I've seen you several times bring up mentor. Yeah, go check Joel out on Instagram. Has some awesome, inspiring, and motivating videos, informative videos as well. I was having a conversation with someone recently, and this person is talking about getting into business and doing et cetera, and good head on their shoulders, and seems to be very passionate about what they want to do and how they want to get there and willing to put the work in. The more and more I listen to this person, and I can relate, because there was a point in time that I was very similar to it. The more and more I'm like, this guy needs a mentor. Like, he has an ideal, like you just mentioned, if you have an ideal of what this place looks like, or we think this place looks like, but you don't have any straight, a real path in order to get there. And you're telling me your ideals about what you're doing and the activities you're doing. And in my mind, I'm like, this person's just going around in circles. It's one of those things where he's on the water. To go back to that same analogy, he's on the water, but he doesn't have a compass. So he's going in a direction saying, okay, well, I'm just going to follow the sun, not understanding that, the sun is what it sets in, it rises in the east and sets in the west. And he's just going around, and before he knows it, I can almost guarantee is that he's going to be right back where he started. I think I saw this on The Witcher, actually. That show had it on there, where she was going towards the sun, and then she found, when she turned around, she was in the exact same position she started, and she had to walk for almost 24 hours. 36 hours in the desert. And so if you don't have a compass, and that compass to me would be that mentor, that coach, that guide that's gonna show you what it is you're gonna do, you can essentially, you're doing a lot of activity and it leads to turning out, it leads to giving up, it leads to negative thinking. It leads to a lot of these different things, and because you're there. And then you mentioned something else, brother, that I want to talk about is all our stuff that we bring with us on this imaginary ride, and some of this stuff needs to be left behind. Some of this, all of these things can't go, and sometimes that's the friends. And I'm not saying you just get rid of your friends, but if you prioritize the timing with these people around you, your friends, your associates, some family members, until you can get to your destination, and then you can send a letter back saying, "Hey, I made it. You all can make it too." Or this is the way. Now I can show you the way since I've already made it. But going with them or with this stuff at the same time, not divesting some of these things, will have us will have us weighing us down. Will have water getting into the boat. Will have us that constant whispering in our ear. Will have us second guessing. There's nothing like a second guess. I kind of spoke to about that visual, making things visual. There's nothing like having what in NLP they would call like a hidden counterexample. What's that? That's that voice in your head that tells you like, I don't think you can do it. Some of us haven't quite identified this voice. And sometimes, often when we think about, well, what is this voice and where does it come from? You'll notice that it might not even be your voice saying you're not going to be able to do it. There's another voice. A voice that of people that you possibly respected, people that are around you, people that you're very close to, that's kind of like holding you back. It's not them, it's this voice that you created. So you have to be very careful when you go out on these voyages, what you decide to bring with you, and then what you decide that you're going to divest from. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I want to jump in right there, man, because that's super important right there. And I use the same example as a mentor or coach being somebody like the compass or a map or both.
Right.
This team of individuals, or like Napoleon Hill would call your mastermind group.
Right.
And before people understood what a mastermind group was, those special individuals in your life that have always been there for you and provided you passage through knowledge, understanding, and experience. Always looking for your best interest,
Right.
even when you weren't yourself. So these type of people. So I agree with that, and I think that is super important. And I think that before we go on to these types of voyages into the new world, we should have people like that.
It'd be easier, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even in the scriptures in the book of James, it talks about how you should go to your brethren, call upon the elders of the church, let them anoint with oil. If there is any sin, it will be forgiven him. But even them, because the prayers of a righteous man availeth much. So even then, it's like, hey, listen, you may not understand how to connect with God, but connect with that elder. That's somebody you can see.
Mm.
They're able to guide you, direct you. They're able to pray with you, pray for you, and help you and set you straight. Get your compass aligned again. Because that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes the magnetic fields mess up the compass, and all of a sudden, even with the compass, we're going astray because the compass is not aligned. It's not right. We needed to get right. So, but here's another thing that you said, bro, and I thought that was powerful, and it made me think of Jonah, because you're like, what you bring cannot always stay. And this is powerful right here, because you started to talk about people. And when that came up, I thought about this. And I was like, people. Sometimes we start a voyage, and the baggage that we have is that it could be people. So in the book of Jonah, Jonah didn't want to do what the Lord said do, so he got onto this boat and he's going out there, and the next you know, the tempest arises, the winds blow, the sea gets crazy, and the mariners thought that the ship was going to be destroyed. So they got up and they started throwing everything off the boat. They got rid of everything. Then they saw Jonah laying down, sleeping like nothing was going on. They were like, man, what are you doing? Get up and pray to your God. All of us have prayed to our God. Nothing has happened. So pray to your God. We're going to die. And Jonah's like, well, I know the reason why, because my God's upset. I don't know about y'all, but my God's upset with me. I tell you what you do, just throw me overboard and you'll be okay. And they're like, we're not doing that, because if it's your God, we're going to be in trouble. So they start throwing more stuff off. And finally they're like, okay, we're sorry, Jonah. We're sorry, Jonah's God. He told us to do it. And they throw him overboard. And then the light comes out, the clouds separate, the winds back down, and the sea goes at ease. And they're like, whoever Jonah's God is. But my point is that Jonah was the baggage. Sometimes it can be our friends. Sometimes it can be our loved ones. Sometimes it can be our old ways that we're holding on to so dearly that we don't want to become the person that we need to be in order to navigate the sea. And we got to toss that over the edge, which is simply symbolic of get rid of the old to make way for the new.
I'm gonna tell you what. I had this, and I'm telling you, the consciousness is there. I speak to me towards it, or as you speak about it, is that I'm almost of the. I think 99.9%. One time I heard someone say 100%, and somebody with an analytical personality almost went nuts because they was like, nothing's 100%. But 99% of the obstacles and challenges and things that we face is self-inflicted. We are our worst enemies. The people around us, because I choose to believe that people are inherently, they want good. They have good intentions. That's just something I'm going to choose to believe. How they go about these intentions and what they do with these intentions, a lot of it tends to be, selfishly motivated ultimately, and they can't even grasp. Most people can't even grasp that it's some things are selfish, but they're wanting good, having positive intentions. So it's up to you to get clear on whatever your goal or your ideal is, and it's up to you to add boundaries to your life. It's up to you to have these different boundaries. This person doesn't know how negative they are because they're in it. We spoke about the whole struggle mentality or survival mentality last week. Like they're in their survival or in their struggle, whatever it is. They can't see the forest through the trees. That's what I heard was on a song once. They can't see the forest because there's so many trees, right? So these people are in it. So they're ultimately saying like, and I want to choose to believe, and I'm hoping, I'll be on this side of it, that people want to do that the best that they can, but they don't have the information. And they may not necessarily see you having that information because they almost, what is it? A prophet isn't respected in their own home. They can't really see it because you're so close to them. But then when you separate, and you separate for some time and you have some boundaries, hey guys, I can't hang out this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I got to go, I'm on this mission, and I got to get this mission. And we do this week after week after week, and you start to separate, or he thinks he's better than us, or he thinks he's this, but then they look up a year and a half from now and they see where you have gotten. Now all of a sudden they're open to, well, how did you get there? And I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you all out there. I know it's happened to me, where I separated myself, and then a year and a half later, people are like, well, how did Mike get to this point? And now they're open to what it is I have to say, but they're not open when we're still in the mud together. Because they looking at me and they looking at me and say, well, you in the mud just like me. You dirty just like me. So sometimes it's like, okay, well, let me go over here, do what it is I have to do, and then that's that testimony that they look at and they say, whoa, how did you do that? What's going on? And then and now they're more open to what, or hopefully at least they're more open to how did this person get there. And now therein lies that compass that we were talking about, that mentorship, that guy, that guide, that leader. You know what I mean? If they're looking for that.
Mm. You read that book, was it Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, great
A
book,
long
right?
time. Yeah.
Yeah, so in that book, it's illustrated that Scratch and Sniff are out there in the middle of this maze, and they continue to press forward. The cheeses move, they don't stop, they throw their sneakers on, they go look for another place where there's cheese. Him and Hall, who are people, they get upset, and they just go back and they do the exact same thing over and over again
Mhm.
until one of them, I don't remember if it was him or Hall, decides to go out into the maze and go against what he thinks is right, while the other one continues to beckon him to come back. And eventually, after a lot of skirmishes and conversations, one of the two ends up going out and finding something. You know, it's kind of crazy because we as people, a lot of times, we get stuck, and we're stuck because we want to be stuck, but we don't understand that that's what we want.
It's a hard conversation to have.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like we choose our own route. We are the captain of our ship. We have the right to make the choices that will guide us into, the promised land, or we have the choice to stay where we are. The children of Israel had the right to follow Moses through the wilderness in order to get to the promised land, or they could stay back. And most of them him and hauled in the wilderness to the point where the Lord walked them around in circles for 40 years until every single person died except for their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, only Caleb and Joshua were able to make it into the promised land that actually came out of Egypt. Everybody else, including Moses, didn't go into the promised land. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a curious phenomenon, right? Because everybody is looking for some level of success. Maybe you're looking for success inside of a relationship, but you're hemming and hawing. And I just love this. It's like clarity. We get to points and positions inside of our lifestyle and we lose clarity. In other words, we have no vision.
Yep.
And where the man has no vision, there's no place to walk. Yeah. So we have to have vision, we have to have clarity. So that means that we have to go back to our compass and we have to check to make sure it's straight. We have to recheck our map. We have to recheck our course.
You mentioned the saying last week, and it still resonates with me. You said your mentor, your bishop said, wherever I find myself, I check myself.
Yeah. That's what he said.
I want to make sure. Wherever I find myself, I check myself. I love the analogy of being in the wilderness, because look at what happened in the wilderness. Look at what happened with the thoughts and the idol worshiping and the thing, and still you were provided for, because no matter what's going on, you're provided for, right? And what was it? It should have lasted how many days? I think so. I want to hear someone say it was supposed to last. How long was the wilderness supposed to last? That actual.
I'd have to look that one up there, Mike.
Yeah, but I know it was something that was supposed to be a certain amount of days, and it ended up lasting 40 years. It goes back to this point of most of these things being self-inflicted. This self-doubt. You got to find out where that comes from. Where'd you pick that up? And normally it happens by the time we're 7 to 10. There's a statistic, and I'm not gonna look it up right now, that a child hears no however many thousands of the time by the time they hit 4 or 5 years old or something like that. Like, because they're constantly hearing no, they're constantly having doubt established in them. So then we take these experiences from childhood, and we spoke about this on many episodes ago, and we're still we're still using those same strategies from childhood that we're using as an adult, right? And nobody's perfect. I'm not blaming this on anybody's parents. I'm not blaming this on anybody's environment, because no matter who the parents were or what the environment was, someone with a similar situation, quote unquote, made it. They were successful. A lot of people are successful that came from quote unquote nothing. But it was something, right? You have an opportunity. I think we all have these different opportunities to do what it is that we have to do, but we have to make that decision, and we have to take full accountability and responsibility for our lives. And saying accountability meaning, okay, I'm where I'm at because of the strategies that I'm using. Responsibility is saying that I don't have to stay here. I can now move in a certain direction. And this is almost constant. Over the last 2 years, we've spoken about this. And if this is your first time watching Community Beacon, I would love for you to go back and watch out a lot of the beginning episodes, because we talk a lot. I want to say in our first season, we probably spoke a lot more about foundational things. You know what I mean? Gratitude, being thankful, the pillars of society, of relationships, communication. All these are skills that we can continue to grow in and grow with to get to that next point, and then ultimately going to where the brother's talking about, and it's this coach thing. And I don't and I'm gonna wager to say that the majority of people who feel like they can do it on their own, and I'm telling you, I know some brilliant people, but they continue trying to wade in this water on their own. They're leaning on their own understanding, and they're finding themselves in the same situations with different faces. You understand? And here, maybe this resonates with somebody out there. Are you realizing that you're in the same situation, but there's different faces around? That could be your relationship. That could be your job. That could be moving to a different city and finding new friends, or moving. I remember back in the day, everyone who's going through issues was going to move to Atlanta. Everybody, if you was going through something, I'm moving to Atlanta. I know a lot of people who got in situations in New York was like, I'm moving to Florida. And they get down to Florida and they find themselves in the same situation with different faces. Right now, it's probably Houston or Texas. Something going on in Palm Beach. Palm Beach is the problem. I'm moving to Texas. Like I said before, it used to be Atlanta. You can't. I can think about maybe 20 or 30 people who was like, "Yeah, I'm moving to Atlanta." You got a job offer in Atlanta? Nah, but it's something about Palm Beach. Okay. They go to Atlanta. They in Atlanta for 5 to 7 years, and they coming back. Man, what happened? Nah, man, Atlanta is Atlanta just this ain't no. And now you're back here, and it's the same thing. Same situation, different faces. At some point, and so that's the equivalent of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. No matter where you go, there you are. It's not them.
Yeah.
It's not them. It's not the city. It's you. Because the moment I started changing my outlook on life from within, the moment life started to change. There was one, I'll throw myself in the loop. You know what? I gotta go to Africa. It's gonna be some healing for me in Africa. I still think there's gonna be it's gonna be an excellent experience. I haven't made it there yet. I plan on going next year. There's gonna be some healing in Africa. And I said, wait a minute. You gotta heal if you heal, you can heal here. You don't gotta go there. You heal here. And then once I began to heal here changed. I'm connected. I still want to go to Africa for the experience. I've never been. But I'm not relying upon this external thing for validation of who I am or what I am. And so it has to begin within yourself. And I'm telling you, you start to change, your family starts to change. They may still be saying the same thing, but the way that you view them changes. The experience that you have with them changes. You start appreciating everything a lot more. Now you're telling your mother, your father, you love them now. They looking at you crazy because that probably wasn't something that wasn't in your, something that you all didn't do originally. But now you saying that. You don't even feel a way. It ain't like, oh, I'm going to say I love you and I got to wait. I hope they say I love you back. It don't matter. I love you. Okay. My grandma did that. My grandma wasn't a big I love you person. I remember I told her, I said, man, I love you, not Joyce, my mother's mother. And she was like, okay, that's nice. But it didn't matter what her reaction was because I knew, because it was about me saying this to her. So when she passed and she moved on, there's a feeling of saying, hey, I told her I loved her. You know what I mean? Like at least I had that interaction, that experience of me being able to say it. I think so. We're talking about these mentors. We're talking about we covered a lot on this episode. Ultimately, I want to say is that you have to start changing the way these things happen. And I feel like that was a bar. I'm gonna say it again. The faces are changing, but the situation is staying the same. The faces is changing, but the situation is staying the same. Go ahead, brother.
No, I love that. I love that. I had a situation with a young man one time. He came to me. I think I mentioned it before to you. He was having some troubles, going through some different things, and he had said to me on one occasion that he was getting ready to move. He was leaving, and
Mm-hmm.
he was a little bit intimidated about talking with me, but he wanted to hear what I had to say. And I told him something similar to what you're saying. I said, "You're looking for me to tell you don't go." And he shook his head, yeah. That's what he kind of feels like. You know how that, kind of halfway shake, yes, don't really want to admit it, you know. But I told him, I said, I'm not here to tell you no, because you have to make your own decisions and you have to live with the decisions that you make. I can tell you what I think would be the best thing for you, but I could be wrong too. I tell you what the best thing is never run from any type of issues, never run from any type of problems, because wherever you run to, you'll find them there. And so I think that that's very similar,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
faces, but it's the same issue, same concern. So that's what I see that, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful process. I know for me, in the midst of what's going on in my life right now, you know, this is like, I don't know if it's one of the first times or if it is one of the first times, but it's definitely a defined time in my life where I'm looking at everything that's going on, and I'm not looking at it as I can't make it, I won't make it. My vision is still I'm making it. I love what you said about clarity because I thought to myself, I think I can get more clear. And I was already discussing with my mentor, who I'm gonna tell you something, man. Jamie Villalobos, I absolutely love that woman. She has dedicated so much time and for me and for every single person that I work with. I mean, she has moved mountains in her own life to be there for every single one. And I just appreciate it because I know she does not have to do what she has done, And I don't even pay her. That's crazy. Somebody just somebody just paid her $10,000 for 3 sessions. I get her for free every week, multiple times in a week. But anyway, what I was getting at is like I know I can do more clarity, but I was talking with her and I was like, I gotta organize more. And she just explained some different things on organization and stuff like that. And she sent me all these things. She started creating things that would help me to be organized. She started asking all of her assistants to create stuff. And she's got thousands of people that she deals with, but she takes special time for me. And I appreciate that. So what you're saying is like, man, at this point in this stage in my life, I'm like looking out and I know that I've increased and it
Mm-hmm.
feels different.
Right.
You know, the rucksack weighs a little bit more and I've noticed the difference. You ever been to the gym and you lift a certain amount and then you're like you feel the groove, you're in the groove, the music's just right, your heart's beating just right, your body feels just right, the moment feels just right, and you're like 5 more pounds, 10 more pounds, why not? And then when you push it, you feel it. You feel it. You feel that weight. You know it's different. But inside your mind, you know you can lift it. And so you push and you feel the strain. You feel every piece of your body. You feel you have to engage your core. You have to use everything, but you know you're going through this. And it's like click. You just lifted that weight and you put it right back on the rack. You know that was heavier. It's not like one of those psych yourself out, like, oh, it's not heavy. No, you know that was heavier. You know that was more, but you did it anyway.
Right.
And that's it right now, man. It's like, I know I'm lifting more. I know it. It's more. And it's like, okay, it's the calm before the lift. And it's the push during the lift. It's the sincere focus. And so if I could leave this with anybody, it's like being a man who has all these lessons inside of my heart and inside of my mind and has great people like Michael Seville, and like my past leader, um, Daddy Bailey, who just passed away, and Jamie Villalobos and Sean, and also, my mom.
My condolences, brother. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, just
Wow.
happened
Yeah,
on the 11th.
Wow.
Yeah,
My condolences, the sincerest condolences, man. I know how powerful he was in your life.
yeah, I appreciate that. You know. So just like having all of this with me at every given moment and God being on my side, it's like it's been strange because people look at me and like, hey man, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But it's because I got this great deal of focus. Like I gotta push through this thing. Today's not the day for the kiki and that. It's just I gotta push through. It may look a little different because my joy isn't showing as exuberant as it normally would, but it's because I'm pushing through. I'm in the middle of lifting heavy weights, and I don't have time to be laughing with anybody right now. Give me a moment. Let me push this thing up 2 or 3 times. Let me get used to this weight. I'll be good. But right now, I got so much focus on being able to push it up because the weight is not just for me, it's for those that are around me, but the weight is just for me.
Right.
That's what I would pass on to others. When you get into this type of scenario, don't fret. Don't get underneath the weight and start squirming your legs around and wondering if you're going to that's how you get hurt. You have to get intense focus And sometimes you have to re-rack, and you have to go and work another part of the body out because you have to work on something. You got to tweak a little bit here, tweak a little bit there, so that you can maintain that lift every single time. Just because you did it once, you need to be able to come back and do it again and again and again until that weight becomes normalized to you. And that may take some other types of exercises, which I would equate to plugging holes inside of the boat, revisiting your compass, checking your maps, making that phone call to your mentor, your coach, your spiritual leader, your team of influence, your mastermind. And then the actions, you have to continue to provide the actions through it all. Like don't slack, don't lack, attack. You got to keep digging in because that's the only way you're going to be able to maintain that. And you have to push through it. You have to break through it. You have to overcome it. You have to show that situation that you are greater than it. And it's not about the situation, it's about the mind. Once the mind realizes that I am absolutely greater than what I am going through, I am greater than what I'm going through. I am greater than what I'm going through. At that moment, it's like a breakthrough. You are absolutely greater than what you're going through, and you're ready for much, much more.
Amen. Amen. I'm going back to the weightlifting analogy, brother, that you just brought up. Lifting a heavy weight, or whatever it is, you bench pressing, you squatting, you deadlifting, and the thought comes to mind is that it's the form versus function. You have some schools of thought that as long as it goes in the rim, whatever it is, as long as you get it done, it's fine, and that's the function of it. And then it's the form part of it. A person who believes in the form model is thinking, hey, I just need to make sure that I understand that there's a science to this, there's a process to this. And as long as I keep perfecting the process and the process and the actual way of doing it, the science of it, then eventually it'll go into the rim more consistently, right? So you got some people who are functional. The guy like Sean, I think it's Sean Marion, used to play for the Phoenix Suns back in the day. He had the worst looking shot ever. Yeah, he had the worst looking shot ever, but it went in. And I remember a kid who was at the gym, he was shooting, had a weird looking shot. And I went to go give him some advice on his shot. And he was like, well, Sean Marion has a crazy shot. I said, well, Sean Marion is 1 out of 400 people that play in the NBA. Everyone else, and he's a freak athlete, just like Shaq at the free throw line. Shaq, at some point in time, Shaq was like, I'm not even worried about how I shoot it, and when I'm ready to shoot it, it'll go in. That's that was his thought process. But you only get a Shaq is a once in a lifetime player. But I want to get back to this science and the form of it. If you get to the form, you can teach more people this same thing. So I guess at this point in time, you have to make the decision. And I'm going to agree. Although I would say, I would add is that be careful losing your joy in the process, because the process, if you can find joy in the process, or for you, brother, you bring that joy along with you in the process, then it makes the process more palatable. Because you're finding, if we can find the joy in what it is that we're going through, then you ain't really going through something. You're just being joyful and you're having this experience, right? So it's like find the joy in whatever it is, and it can be tough. You're talking to people, a person who sometimes I got to sit on the phone and all I'm hearing is ringing, and sometimes people will pick up and they're hanging up, and I notice why they hang up, because as we had this conversation, I look down at my phone, I got 8 missed calls, and all of them say potentially spam. So I feel empathy for people when they pick up the phone and they hear my voice, and they're like, oh God, this I wasn't expecting this person to call me, right? This is the cold call I'm talking about. However, if you can find the joy in that, if I can find the joy, and once again, every day is not a great day, But when I'm in a state of joy, everything else is more palatable. You can curse me out and I'm just laughing. Or I'm having empathy, or I'm getting curious. Man, what's going on in your life? And we can even have that conversation. I had a coach once tell me, he said, you know who's the best prospect? I said, who? He said, the one that curses you out when you first get on the phone. He said, because Mike, if you can find a way to get through that, 99% of the people can't get through that. But if you can crack that, they end up being the best client. Because you were able to crack through this anger. And how do you crack through the anger? You bring that joy, you bring that empathy, you bring that compassion, you bring that understanding, that empathy to the situation. Because that's what people want. People want more than anything is to be understood. And it's happened to me several times where a lady cursed me out because she thought we had a conversation before. And I just stayed on the phone with her. And I showed my compassion. What are you going through? What's going on? And by the end of the conversation, I'm telling you, this lady called me back to curse me out because she hung the phone up on me the first time. I'm like, she hung the phone up on me. When she called me back, and she just started going off, and I'm just listening to her, and I'm just talking, and I'm just listening to her. Hey, I can totally understand. I can see where you're coming from. Sounds like it's frustrating. Sounds like you're disappointed. Sounds like you wish it could have went a different way. Matter of fact, if you could have it the way that you wanted to, what would that have looked like? By the time the conversation ended, she was saying, boy, God must have sent you. Because nobody was willing to have that conversation. And I'm gonna tell you what, I never did a deal with that lady, but it just brought joy to my heart that I could bring, because she was in a lot of pain too. She had a lot of things going on in her life. But for me to allow for her to see that light, so I wasn't concerned at that point in time. I'm not even concerned with it because there's another deal that's going to happen around the corner. It's coming at some point in time, as long as I continue to do what I'm doing. But it's joyful to know that you made a difference in someone's life, whether or not it actually happens. You know, the so-called deal happens. So I don't want to be transactional. I want to be relational. And so me and this person never have to do a deal ever, but she knows she can call me and say, okay, Mike, this is what's going on, right? And once again, that goes back to boundaries. But find joy in what you're doing. I think that helps. But you know, I'm with you. There's times when I'm just like, man, you know, well, I'm tired. I need some rest. You know, these conversations ain't going the way it is. This ain't my best day. There's certain factors happening. Someone might be sick. I might be feeling a little bit of down, and it's like, oh man, I just got to power through this quote unquote workout. But I'm here, and I want to put my best foot forward.
Man, I love that.
But yeah, man. Man.
I love that. I love that. So let me just give just one little piece. This does not need to be overshot. Bro, you said keep your joy, a state of joy. So I would just pose this question out there for everybody. Is your joy blocked? If your joy is blocked, what is blocking your joy? Inspect what you expect. Isn't that what we say there, bro?
You say inspect what you expect. I never heard it, but it sounds good.
Inspect what you expect. So if you expect joy, then you need to inspect why it's there or why it's not there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
And if your joy is blocked, then unblock it. So I love it.
Unblock it. Yeah.
I love it. All right, I'm done. That's it for me.
They might be through with us there. And this conversation, I want to end on this, is that I think I want to go, because this essentially, when we started this community beacon, it was going to be for higher level conversation. And I know sometimes it can come off as being, because we can get a lot deeper into this stuff. Like this stuff, and it allows for us. So we're meeting people at the level, which I love. I get it. You want to meet people at the level, but I think you and I are at a deeper level than even this, and it begs the question of how deep we should get deeper, because I think that's what people need to actually see. because I'm going to go back to it as well, is that 95% of people aren't looking to don't necessarily have the vision that we have. Not saying that they're not capable of it, but they don't have it and they're comfortable in where they are. And that's fine. I'm not trying to make anybody do anything they don't want to do or say that they're not capable of it, but these are just the numbers across the board. It just tends to be what it is in life. But there's that 5, that 3, and that 1%. And I know because we're in it, and it can get a little bit lonely. And there's a lot of this surface level of it when we can get a lot deeper. And I think that's where they should reach out to us, and definitely reach out to my brother over at the Tenacity Foundation if you want to get even deeper. A lot of the things we talk about now is honestly, it's surface, and a lot of it is surface level because we want to meet the people as a whole. Generally, we want to meet everyone at the level, but it gets a lot of deeper. So when you go on his Instagram and you hear him talking about the coaching and the finding a mentor, it's not to repeat what we're telling you now. It's to get even deeper and more specifically, get where you are, because you're your individual. So we can speak to everybody as a whole, but then you have certain content that's specific to you and what you're going through. And there's an answer for that. And so if you're looking for an answer and you're like, well, I don't want people just to continue saying these constantly repeated platitudes and these little sayings that we say. You want to get down to the core of who you are and how it is that you want your life to go into the content. You got to reach out to the brother at the Tenacity Foundation. Get to it. Figure out what skills it is that you're trying to grow and how you can grow them, because you can't see it because you're in it. But if you have someone who's empathetically listened to you, like the brother Joel does, and he can see these things, and you have this belief that he has your best intentions in mind, which I definitely know he does, then you can get to the core of who you are and where it is that you want to go, and then you can get what? You can get clear. And I'm going to tell you what, clarity and the vision and clarity is going to beat discipline and willpower and determination. All that gets 10 times easier once you gain clarity on what it is that you want and where you want to go in life, and what your passion and purpose is. Get clear on that. He can't talk to you about what your purpose is just on this general live stream or whatever. And you guys celebrate it, but when you get deep and down into it, and you have an hour of this man's time for him to have a conversation with you, change your life. What is that worth to you? You said Jamie charges $10,000.
No, she doesn't even charge that. Someone just paid her $10,000, and she accepted it.
Right. But I'm saying she charges somebody $10,000 for 3 sessions. What I'm saying is that is a paltry amount when you gain clarity and purpose on your life. Because I'm gonna tell you what, maybe it's not for you to be a millionaire, but maybe you're happy at $50,000 to $60,000, or hey, you can be happy at $45,000 in your life, but you are authentic and you're living in your purpose. And living in your purpose is worth billions of dollars.
It's worth it. It's worth it. People don't understand that. They don't understand that, Mike. They don't understand that. There's a couple of people out there that understand it. There's a lot that they don't understand that, Mike. They don't understand that.
You're doing it for free. When you're in your purpose and you're living in your purpose and you understand your why, you will do it for free and not care. You're going to be working 12 hours a day, and it feels like, man, I just had a great time. Can't wait to get up and do it tomorrow.
That's it.
Can't wait to go to do it tomorrow. How much you made? I ain't made nothing today, but I can't wait to do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? I got what I need to survive or to live, but I'm living in my purpose, which is better than living on $100,000, $200,000 salary. I can guarantee it. All right, that's enough. I bet. That's my spiel, man. I appreciate each and every one of you all for checking in. Man, you guys come check us out next week. I know I love and appreciate each and every one of you. If you stuck through this show, I know you got some gems. Put it in the chat, some things that resonated with you. Other than that, I know I got a lot off my heart, so I appreciate it, brother. Any parting words?
Man, it's been good. It's been good. This has been a
Yeah.
very good session. I enjoyed myself, man. I got a lot of stuff. I got a couple pages of notes over here that I took, you know. I mean, I don't know what y'all do out there. I don't know if you sit down on one of these types of podcasts or these live streams and you take notes, but you should. You should.
Yeah.
You should start taking notes because when that thing hits, you should take it. You should own it. Keep it. It's yours. I mean, we give this stuff away for free because that's what we desire to do in the community beacon. We desire to make something that was fit for the community to be able to gain from our struggles, our strains, and our gains. You don't have to go through everything. We can go through a lot of this stuff for you and tell you about it, you know. And once we gain your trust, and you should trust us by now. Maybe you don't, but it's been 18, almost 24. We're going on 24 months in this thing. We're like
Yeah.
2 or 3 months away from 2 years. We're about to go into the third year, you know. So I mean, we've been the same here. We've only been growing. Our businesses have grown, our families have grown, you know,
Yep.
our mindset has grown, our emotional integrity has grown, our capacity has grown, and you all have been able to watch all of it. And you've been able to see it on like Instagram feeds or Facebook feeds, or those of y'all who know us, come up to me and tell me, or go up to Mike and tell us that we are the exact same people as we were 2 years ago. Because you can't say it. You know you'd be lying. I'm in business with a young lady who became like a sister to me, and I met her
Mm.
last January. And she's like, I told my mama that when I met you, there was something different about you. Whoever would have known that we'll be like where we are right now. That's what she said. And that's 20 months later. 20 months later. That's
20.
change, y'all. If you're still in the same spot, then you know, what'd you say earlier, bro? You said no matter where you go, there you are.
No matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah, yeah. So there you are. There we are.
Amen.
Anyway, let's do
Amen.
it.
Love you guys, man. We will see you next week.
All right. Peace.